Hey there YouTube, George here. How are you? I hope you're doing well. In this video today we're going to have, I'm going to show you how to change the thermostat in a W203 C180 Mercedes. Okay, so a little bit of a backstory. We'll do that now in a sec, but this job is a simple enough job if you're kind of interested in starting to work on your own car yourself. I'd rate this job on a difficulty level of 10, a 3, and you just need some basic tools to do the job. And I'll explain to you now why I arrived at the conclusion that the thermostat is gone. Okay, so on these cars, there's no actual temperature gauge on the cluster, as you can see, but you can bring up a temperature gauge on the display here. So when I bought the car, it was late September, the weather was still warm, yada yada yada. So as soon as the weather turned cold, like it is now, I noticed straight away that when I was leaving for work in the morning, which is a journey of about 6 miles, that the heater in the car was not very good. It was only starting to get warm when I was pulling into the car park and work. So what I did then one day was I left the car idling for about a half an hour, and I came up to 80 degrees, and as an experiment then I went for a spin out the local dual carriageway for about 2 miles, and at dual carriageway speed 60-70 miles an hour, within 2 miles the temperature had dropped from 80 down to about 45, maybe 50. So the thermostat is probably stuck open, or it's just failed over time. The thermostats can fail in a way that even though it's closed, it's not sealing properly. So but I think the most common issue in these C180s is where the when a thermostat sticks, it can stick in two positions. It can stick in closed, which will be very apparent because your car will be overheating. But if it's stuck open, the thermostat is allowing coolant to continuously pump around the system through the radiator and back into the engine again. So the warm-up period is like really long. And a second problem with that is that when the engine is not up to full operating temperature, the ECU kind of tells the fuel injection system that, well, okay lads, we're still in warm-up mode here, so add more fuel. And basically it hurts your fuel economy as well, because as I said, it's adding more fuel, and like if you leave the car idling and you're back at the tailpipe, you can actually smell the fuel because it's running that rich. So let's get into it now, and we'll show. It's not a major job, so we'll get into it and I'll show you what's what. So basically, I apologize in advance for the wind noise. It's very blustery here today. So this is the thermostat housing here, which is nice and handy to get at compared to some cars. So we need to remove this cover, then we need to jack it up, and we need to drain the system. And we have new coolant there, and I got some 5-litre container of water, a bit better than tap water, I hope. But so we need to get her up in the air and drain out the system. That's our coolant tank there. So when we have it up and there's a drain down on the bottom of the radiator, I'll show you that when we get the cover off the bottom, and we'll drain it there. And once we have the drain open, we'll just open this and we'll let gravity do its thing, and the system will empty. So right, I'll get this cover off first, I suppose. Okay, so there's 6 bolts that holds on this cover, and we need a 8mm Torx socket. You put it on there and your ratchet. So you have one here, and there's one in the middle somewhere. I think it's up there. There. And incidentally, you can jack her up here. There's a jacking point, which is quite handy. And and get the old cover off now and see what's happening. I thought there was two bolts in the middle. Ah, they're there. So one there and one the far side. So we'll get the cover off and see where we're going. No oil leaks or oil stains or anything like that on the bottom of the engine cover, so that is always a good sign. I wonder what that's off. Some sort of a cover. It's just sitting on the under tray. It's got the Mercedes logo on it, so I'll have to see if I can find out where that's for. Oh, there is the drain. And you just open this guy with a screwdriver, and if you put your hand up here at the back, there's like an outlet, so you can just put a piece of tube on and let it go into your catch can or your basin or whatever. So we'll get that on the go next. And hopefully you can see what I'm doing. It's got a piece of inner tube. There's the damn thing. Times like this you really could do with a lift, you know. Now, that should do the job. Now you'll see now when I take the lid off, it'll really speed things up. It was a good idea to catch your coolant in a clean container in case you need any of it. You can actually screw this all the way out. Like that. Just before I stop this, when you put this guy back in, don't over tighten it, because it's only plastic and you'll strip the threads. So just hand tight, then get the screwdriver and a quarter turn. That's all you need. Which they seem to be. Looking for cuts or nicks or anything like that. So that seems to be okay. So right, we'll be back. Okay, so we're going to remove the thermostat housing. There's only two bolts, this one and this one. Nice. Now, these bolts are pretty long. I'm not going to disconnect the hose from the housing, because you don't need to. Because there's a seal on that, and that doesn't come with the, I suppose, yeah. Oh, lovely. Alright, so I took out the air intake. Give you a bit more room. Quite long. Let's leave them up there. cartridge needed. Okay, that's good. So you need to be careful with this because this housing can break here. So you see the stat there. It only goes in the one way. Let's look at the see now, is it open? So, it's kind of hard to see this now, the focus. See that gap there? That's what the problem is. There's water flowing through it. And compared to the new one, you can see it's fully sealed. And it's the same Waller OEM type stat. Let's see. There's a little valve on it there which lets some of the pressure off. And that comes with new seals as well, so we can do that now. We'll clean up this thermostat housing here in the block before we put in the O-ring. There's two O-rings. There's one for the stat and one for the housing where it goes in. So thermostat definitely gone. Oh, that's nice and clean. These are the new seals. Comes with the thermostat. So I just cleaned up the thermostat housing and I removed the old O-ring. Put on the new one. The round one goes in there. And then the square one, the square section O-ring, that goes on there between the thermostat and the block when it goes in. Okay. You can see there in the thermostat housing how it's kind of offset to the right, so the thermostat has to go in. It only goes in the one way, so you just want to make sure that the long part of the stat, when you have it in the housing, is offset to the right. But the way the housing is made and the thermostat is made, you can see it's offset, so it has to go in that way with the little ball valve to the top. Okay, so we put her in. Put on our seal. Make sure it's clean. Our thermostat. There's two little tangs here and they locate in the thermostat housing. So that's it, goes in like that. Get in there. Pour our bolts back in. If I wasn't videoing this, it would take no time at all. And you don't need to go crazy when you're tightening these either. This are going into aluminium, so and to do it one side a little bit and the other side a little bit. just to pull it in nice and square. So kind of when you feel it tighten up, you just want like a quarter turn. It's kind of a feel you develop over time. Right, so I get the coolant sorted out now. 4 litres of water in the can. Put in our 2 litres of coolant, antifreeze, whatever you want to call it. You have to mix this right, because if you don't, it won't be as effective in cold weather as it should be. You know, if it's rated at like -30 and it's over diluted, it mightn't be any good until -10 or something like that. I bought a bottle of big bottle of water because I figured it might be a little bit purer than tap water. Tap water's fine if you want to use that. Right, so we're cooling now. No harm on a car at this age to change the coolant, you know. There we are, level-wise. There's the bloody... Oh, you fill it up to the... There's a line here, the inside in the filler neck. Fill it up to that. Start it and run it for a while with the lid off. Expel any air. You probably have to top it off. Right, I'll leave it there for now. We'll fire it up and see what's what. It's running now. Okay to run it with the air intake off. Fill it up to that little line there, like a little white plastic thing. You can see it bubbling. It's like a self-bleeding system, so we'll just let it run now for a few minutes and see what happens. Okay, so it's about 5 minutes later. Bottom hose, the top hose. The thermostat's still closed. Okay, so a few minutes later again. Thermostat is just open. Feel the hose there getting warm. See where the gauge is inside. Yeah. It never would have got that warm. So knock it off now for a few minutes. And I'll put the cover back on. It's probably telling me now it needs coolant. Let me see. Yeah, check coolant level. So it does that because you emptied the system, so once you reset that, it shouldn't come back. So we'll put the cover back on and bring it for a spin. Right, so there we are, a couple of miles down the dual carriageway. she's running at 90, which is what it should be, and the output from the heater is very, very good now, so that should leave it a little easier on fuel as well. So just bringing it for a bit of a spin to make sure everything's okay, and so far so good. I've never seen it go up that high. The highest it will go would be between 40 and 60. That was the highest that it go, and it would only go there if you left it idling for like 20 minutes, and as soon as you drive out the road it'll be hovering just over the 40. So we call that a result, I guess. I've driven about 6 miles. I just left it idling for a few minutes, and I checked for leaks and all that stuff, so everything's good. So I think it's safe to call that a result, and the heat is very good now. It's excellent, whereas before it was very, very poor. So that is how you change the thermostat in a W203 C180 Mercedes, and a handy enough job, and even someone with little to no experience should be able to do it. You just have to be careful when you're putting everything back together that you have it orientated the right way, like I showed you with the thermostat, and don't over tighten the thermostat housing bolts. Now I have seen, as I said, other videos where the guy pulls out the thermostat housing and then he puts in his finger. He says you have to pull out this spacer as well. In his case, the thermostat housing had broken, so if that thermostat housing is broken, you'll have to get a new one. They're about 35 euros. So there you are, that's it. We'll get you again in the next one. Thanks for watching, and if you're new here, be sure to hit that subscribe button. This is George, EI7 Kilo Oscar. Bye bye.